Hello and welcome. I'm Melinda Kinlami. Tonight, 5 people killed and 2 others injured as suspected herdsmen invade Taraba community in Adokola local government area of the state. Acting Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu appears before Senate, briefs lawmakers on steps being taken to check rising cases of kidnapping and other security challenges in parts of the country. President Buhari seeks support of the UN in addressing humanitarian crisis in the northeast as he meets with President of the 73rd session of the UN General Assembly, Maria Garcés, in Abuja. An international outcry trails decision by Turkey to rerun Istanbul's mayor election, won by the opposition.
On business news tonight, Securities and Exchange Commission approves MTN's application for the much-awaited listing of its shares on the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
On sports news tonight, Samfra School, Ibutimeta and African Church School at Gbado Kildo will represent Lagos at the 2019 Channels International Kids Cup.
And from the nation's capital, Not Too Young to Run movement challenges young elected legislators on excellent public leadership and quality representation ahead of the inauguration of the 9th National Assembly.
We begin from Taraba State, where at least 5 people were reportedly killed this morning in an attack by suspected herdsmen on Mumbai community of Adokola local government area of the state. The attack is said to have started yesterday at Yowa community under Jalingo local government area before escalating to Yelwa in Abari community. Residents told Channels Television that herdsmen invaded Mumbai this morning, riding on motorcycles, shooting sporadically and killing 5 persons in the process. According to eyewitnesses and lawmakers representing the area, the bandits also burnt down houses before proceeding to other villages.
We are just home and we had a call from our brothers from the village that Fulani have attacked them. How? They said they don't know. Because according to the source, that is the people from that very place, there were policemen that went down to Yelwa Abari to go and know what actually happens. Then on their way coming back, the community were now asking them, is there any problem? They said, no, there's no any problem. Everything have come. So they were busy doing their things normal. Then the next thing, they started hearing gunshot. Then what they do was to take away their women and their children from the village. At the course of that, the people you see them lying down dead, they were also on the process of running from the village when the Fulani men attacked them and killed them.
I feel very sad. I'm very, very sad too, and it is just unfortunate. The insecurity in this state is getting out of hand. Today, kidnappers, tomorrow invaders like this. I call these people invaders because the local villagers say they came on motorbikes. They were not even provoked. They came and started shooting sporadically, killing people, and left to the next villages. It is very unfortunate. I'm calling on the security agencies to please beef up their security system. The lives and property of indigenous of this state is at stake. It is very, very unfortunate.
Staying with security matters and the call for a timely solution to the rising cases of killings and attack in the country, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, appeared before the Senate today to brief the lawmakers on the steps he's taking to address the security challenges. At the end of the closed-door meeting with the lawmakers, the police chief told journalists that the Senate made some suggestions to him, which he plans to look into. Our correspondent Terry Kumi has the rest of the story.
The Acting Inspector General of Police is honoring the invitation of the Senate to brief it on measures being taken to address the insecurity in the country. This is a sharp contrast from his predecessor, who was invited on several occasions by this same Senate but failed to show up. As the Senate settles down to its first legislative day, Just before the first business of the day, the Leader of the House moves a motion to suspend all items on the order paper to allow the Senate to receive the Acting Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu. The acting IGP walks in, accompanied by some senior police officers and led by the Senior Special Assistant to President Muhammadu Buhari on National Assembly matters, Senator Ita Enang. Then the Senate goes into a closed-door session. After about 2 hours, the IGP emerges and briefs journalists on some details of the meeting.
We have reviewed the strategy and what we have put in again in order to mitigate some of the challenges that emerged again. And they have appreciated what we've presented, and also they gave suggestions as to how to enhance the strategy that we said we are deploying. They have agreed to support us in every aspect, in every area that we need in order to do our job to make the country secured.
He also responds to questions on the allegations of rape against some policemen in Abuja.
The actions of the police officer that they were alleged to have raped and molested the woman, that we've set up a panel to investigate, and anybody caught and proven to have done that will face the law.
Following this meeting, the Senate would hope that it would not need to invite the IGP again on the same issue, just as Nigerians would also hope that peace would return to every part of the country. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Moving on to other stories now, a magistrate court in the Mpape area of the Federal Capital Territory has granted bail to the candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the 2018 governorship election in Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, in the sum of 2 million naira and one surety in like sum, who must be a resident of the Federal Capital Territory. Senator Adeleke was arraigned before the court on a 5-count charge bordering on alleged false statement and forgery. Our correspondent, Amaka Okafo, has this report.
The candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2018 governorship election in Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, arrived in the magistrate court in the Pape area of the Abuja in the company of policemen attached to the Maitama police station, where he was detained the day before. Shortly after the court began its proceedings, the police prosecutor, Assistant Commissioner of Police Simon Law, informed the court of the charges preferred against the lawmaker and the need for him to take a plea. Counsel to Senator Adeleke, Mr. Adebiyi Adeyoshoye, told the court that it will be impracticable for the court to proceed with the arraignment on the grounds that the defendant is already standing trial on the same charges in 2 different courts. The lawyer also presented before the court another order of the High Court in Osun State, which specifically ordered the police not to arrest or prevent Senator Adeleke from traveling abroad for medical attention. Responding, the prosecutor opposed the application for adjournment on the grounds that the order of the courts, admitted as evidence, did not say that the defendant cannot be arraigned. Ruling on the application for adjournment, the magistrate held that going by the hierarchy of court, the magistrate court is bound by the order of the High Court. However, the magistrate declined to adjourn the matter indefinitely on the grounds that there was nowhere in the 2 orders of the High Court that the police were ordered not to arraign the defendant. He subsequently ordered that the charges be read to Senator Adeleke for him to take his plea. Although the prosecuting counsel opposed the application for bail, the magistrate in his ruling held that he was mindful to grant the bail application, as bail is at the discretion of the court. The court granted the lawmaker bail in the sum of 2 million naira and also ordered Senator Adeleke to produce a surety in like sum, who must be a resident of the court's jurisdiction.
He was formally arraigned, his plea was taken, and he pleaded not guilty to all the counts as read against him.
Matter before the Federal High Court is bordering on exam malpractice. It's completely different from the matter before this court. That one is bordering on exam malpractice. That is when he registered for NECO.
Less than an hour after the sitting, the lawmaker perfected his bail conditions. He left the court premises in the company of his jubilant supporters and well-wishers. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
Nigeria is expected to take over the leadership of the United Nations General Assembly, even as hope of the United Nations Security Council being expanded remains far-fetched. This came to the fore when the President of the United Nations General Assembly, Maria Garcés, visited President Muhammadu Buhari at the Villa today as part of our engagements in Nigeria. Our State House correspondent, Ibrahim Adra, tells us more about her visit.
It's been a busy day for Maria Garcés, the visiting president of the United Nations General Assembly. Her second engagement is a visit to the State House to meet with President Muhammadu Buhari. The meeting lasted about an hour, during which President Buhari expressed concern about displaced persons in the country. A statement from Special Advisor Femi Adesina quotes President Buhari as saying, "The condition of internally displaced persons in the country is pathetic. We have at least 1 million children who neither know their parents nor where they come from." End of quote. On damages to infrastructure, he says, bridges have been blown up, schools, hospitals, churches, mosques and other buildings have been destroyed. All these will be rehabilitated and every form of international help is welcome. At a press briefing at the end of the meeting, UNGA President Maria Garcés emphasized that Nigeria is a key player in the UN system.
My presence here is to acknowledge and recognize the important role that the Federal Republic of Nigeria plays for the multilateral system and the United Nations. And these are not only words.
On chances of expanding the United Nations Security Council, this is what Ms. Garcés had to say.
I have to say, very honestly, that this is a process, one of the most complex, divisive and contentious negotiation processes at the UN. The process of reform has started 25 years ago, and the mandate to negotiate the reform came 10 years ago when I was ambassador of Ecuador at the UN. And at the time I thought, okay, we have a resolution to start the negotiations, and with a great naivete, I said this is going to be a process of perhaps 2 or 3 years. 10 years later, I have to say that there is no consensus.
The visitor hints that she will be handing over leadership of the assembly to Nigeria's Ambassador Tijani Bande sometime in June.
As easy.
Yes, that's true.
Ms. Garcés had earlier met with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who listed the many challenges the nation faces, harping on the shrinking of the Lake Chad.
For us, it's an existential issue because this is a lake that almost 30 million people depend on for their livelihood, and we have seen it shrink by almost 90%.
As the President of the United Nations General Assembly and her entourage depart, citizens will eagerly await commitments and more of UN projects for the good of all. Ibrahim Adra, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, more on the President of the UNGA's visit. Our guest in our Abuja studio, Professor Osita Agbo, will be speaking about the importance of this. Plus, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike and the Minister of Transport, Chibike Amechi, trade blame over cause of insecurity in Rivers State. Please stay with us.